It's safe to assume you own a mobile phone. You might even be watching this video using one. Would you say you find your phone's user interface relatively easy to use? Do you find that whenever you replace your phone with a newer version of it, it doesn't take much for you to adjust to the newer model? If your answer is yes, then I'm pretty sure your phone developer used a process such as the story mapping technique to achieve a user-friendly product design. Want to know what on earth I'm talking about? Don't worry, I got you. Essentially, creating a story map is a technique where you visualize the steps a user takes to complete an action. The idea is to stay focused on the user of your product rather than get bogged down with developing and working on features the end user just doesn't care about. So, it naturally follows that story mapping is a very helpful process for any product managers, designers, or developers charged with the task of building the product, all so that they can keep their eye on the prize, the user. A story map can help you break down a long or complicated customer journey into more manageable, bite-sized chunks, making the challenge of building for the end user more achievable. I'm sure you're able to appreciate how a well-executed user story map is not just helpful for the product development team, but is also helpful in aligning marketing, engineering, UX design teams, amongst others. Story mapping is a process that tends to happen at the very beginning of a project, since it aligns everyone on the team with what they're ultimately trying to achieve. It's actually something that can be used at any phase of a project to help identify problems and areas and priorities. Something I like to do with my team is to hold a story map sprint when I need to get my head around how a user would use something the team and I are creating. This is usually a half day to a day out of our normal routine in a space where we can ideate freely. Let me walk you through the steps we take with an example that you can follow. Step 1, set the scope. This part is easy. As with any other project, you will want to define the parameters within which you are working. It helps to answer these 3 questions. 1, who is the user or the target market this product will appeal to? 2, what is the product you are designing going to solve for the user? 3, what value is added to the user's life if your product solves this problem? After answering these questions, put your answers in this statement. As a blank, the user or the target market, I want to be able to blank the problem to be solved so that I can blank the value that is added. So let's imagine I was setting up an online wedding decorations business and I had to design a web app for the user to be able to choose what decor he or she wanted for their wedding. This is what I would answer for the 3 scope setting questions. My user target market would be wedding couples. The problem my web app would be solving is the ability to plan wedding decor without having to wait. And the value that is added by the web app I'm designing is that couples can manage their budgets and their time better. So my scope statement would read, as a wedding couple, we want to be able to plan our wedding decor without having to wait so that we can manage our budgets and time better. You know what I hate most about doing these worked examples with you is that I end up falling in love with the idea. Oh man, my time in events would have been so different if I could have come up with something like this then. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. Step 2, map out the actions. Start by laying out a general roadmap of how your user or target market would access and use your product. So turning to the wedding decor web application, the general activities would be finding the decoration items that match their vision, which is search. Then look at the pictures, dimensions of the product specifications. We can call this product description. And then selecting and booking the order items. We can call this order booking. I recommend you make big signs on the wall for this part for all of the different steps. Next, define the steps in each of these sections. So in search, my steps would be look through the theme pages or search using the search bar and scroll through the results, filter the results. For product description, my steps would be navigating and looking through the results, clicking back to the search results, and maybe shortlisting some items. Finally, for order booking, my steps would be adding items to the order, making payment, and the review of the completed order. We now have the map of the customer journey with all the action steps that they're likely to take. Now it's time to progress to step 3 in the story mapping sprint. Organize and add the detail. At this stage in the sprint, it's all about getting your team off their butts and getting active. Pass around one of those post-it notepads to each of the team members and ask them to write all the possible user tasks under each of these steps. So for instance, for the first activity of search and the step of looking through the theme pages, the tasks that you or your team are likely to include are things like browse theme lists and search by theme. Next in the search activity, we have the step of searching through the search bar. The tasks that you or your team are likely to include are things like search by keyword, search by product type, search by theme maybe. Just so that this video isn't an hour long, let me wave my magic wand and do the work for us. Step 4, choose an MVP or a minimally viable product to get going. Now, in the ideal world, we jump onto it and we get everything done immediately. But the truth is, we need to test our thinking and channel our energies on matters incrementally. To do this, go to your list and choose one task from each step column like so. The idea is to choose enough tasks to create a viable end-to-end experience, and ideally they should be tasks that have clear outcomes so we can measure whether their design is working or not. This is going to be important later when you will be tracking the behavior of your users to check what's working and what needs further design thought. The idea is to repeat the process as many times as is required to cover all the tasks in your product design. The formal sprint actually ends at this point, and each team gets to work on their design responsibility. We usually use our story mapping sprint table as a reference for all follow-up meetings when we're assessing what's working and not, and to trigger the next set of actions. As you can appreciate, a story mapping sprint is an excellent technique for you to keep the end user in the forefront of your and your team's mind, making it far more likely that you'll be able to build something that will be really useful. Once you try out the sprint, you'll be able to approach the development of your products in a new light, and you'll be applying this to virtually everything. My prediction is this will become a regular exercise you can conduct with your team, especially since it will yield far better results than everybody working at their desks in isolation. Until the next one, you got this. Hi, my name's Priyanka. I hope you enjoyed that video. I know I enjoyed making it. Would you be a darling and subscribe? Thank you.